I am exploring the 2021 O Level topic. Young people are changing the world for the better. What is your opinion? Right, so this is quite a simple topic, I feel, and I will use the very basic structure of having 2 points to support my thesis and 1 point to do a counterpoint rebuttal or have a third point to support my thesis. As young people, I'm sure you would agree with me that your generation is definitely making an impact on the world. It is very difficult to argue that young people are making a negative impact on the world because for every generation that comes, the young people will have new ideas and they will make positive changes to the world. Okay, so that's the stand I'm going to take, yeah. And in the intro, I like to start off with a trend. So the very obvious trend is that social media has given youth a platform to make their voices heard and also to unite groups with a common cause. So youths have learned that their opinions matter too. Some use this social media to amass a huge following, allowing them to spread their message globally, and this allows governments to even take action. Okay, so this is the trend I'm using, and this leads to my thesis that the majority of youths do change the world for the better. Now I'm going on to the two body paragraphs. Okay, so the very first topic sentence that I have is that the young generation today have the propensity to support social causes. My elaboration is that in more affluent societies, youths are more aware of what's happening around their community and they wish to effect change. Hence, they volunteer for charities or organizations that champion their cause that they care deeply about. And I'm sure you have read about Greta Thunberg and her various climate change youth activists in Sweden, as they are often clamoring for more action towards mitigating climate change. I'm sure you can bring up a lot of other examples of youth in your own societies that also champion different causes pertaining to your society. In Singapore, in particular, teenagers are encouraged to initiate service learning projects where they make a difference to other people's lives. So in Singapore schools, I often hear about uh, students providing peer tutoring to their classmates, schoolmates, or even to impoverished children. Okay, my topic sentence two is that youths are driven to build a more united and inclusive society. So I'm going to explain that Gen Z is a more liberal generation who is more willing to speak out against discrimination of minority groups, against racism, or against brutality. Of course, this is in contrast to the older generation who just let things be, right? And they say, uh, this is not beyond my control. But Gen Z is more different in the sense that they are willing to do so and speak out. So my example is that young people are generally more accepting of the LGBT movement or the LGBT friends. Okay, maybe because they're more aware of these issues, um, and also perhaps because they know of friends, who declare themselves as LGBT. So if they encounter people who declare themselves as LGBT and are discriminated against, then I think Gen Z is more willing to stand out and protect them. Finally, I am at my last point where I'm arguing that young people harness the power of technology to improve people's lives. Okay, primarily because they're very comfortable with using technology in contrast to the older generations, because after all, they are the ones who invented them. So naturally, they are very comfortable using it. So my explanation is that many young tech entrepreneurs reinvent products or creative, innovative solutions. This is quite evidence that is happening in schools because we provide the platform, right, in schools for the incubation of these ideas, and we often hold competitions for youth to participate in, so as to create products with their ideas. Okay, so I have two examples over here. One is based on a local company which uses AI technology to produce a product with less sugar and unhealthy components, because he's trying to reduce the impact of diabetes in society. The other example that I have is this Indonesian who launched Gojek at the age of 26. Okay, so many tech entrepreneurs do launch startups at a very young age. Uh, and these startups obviously make a very positive impact on society. And in this case, his service connects motorcycle taxis aimed to improve Jakarta's disorganized motorcycle taxi system. Obviously, now it's already 2023, so Gojek is no longer just connecting motorcycle taxis, but it has gone on to much bigger things. Right, so for some of us who don't like to come up with a third point, perhaps because we don't have sufficient ideas, we can easily take a format, where you have the counterpoint and a rebuttal to substitute the third point. Okay, so this is an example that I'm showing using a counterpoint rebuttal. So I said that admittedly, there are young people who have their own interests at heart and might even harm others to achieve their own selfish goals. So I have um, three instances of use harming others. Okay, so I'm sure you are very familiar with these three: cyberbullying, scams, and violence. I've also managed to get some evidence based on recent reports, okay, which I've listed here. And I'm going to rebut all of these by using this rebuttal, yeah, and say that, however, these cases only constitute a fraction of use. So, for example, for scams, right, even though half of all offenders related to scam cases who were arrested in Singapore are in their youth, but if you look at the number, it's actually about 400 of them, and it's really a fraction of all the youths in Singapore. Okay, and in some cases, the media might have sensationalized them. So we hear of these cases and we get the impression that many youths are harming society, but it's actually not true. It's basically just a very sensationalized case. Okay, so in my conclusion, I am going to wrap up uh, by following up on my previous paragraph using the counterpoint rebuttal. So if you remember, in my counterpoint rebuttal, I argued that it's only a small minority of dues that harm society, whereas the majority do make positive contributions. Okay, so in continuation, I will say that it is unrealistic to expect all youths to make a lasting and substantial impact on society, as of course they're young, right? So they need to gain wisdom and have the necessary resources, for example, money, connections, right? But with their ideas, courage, and zest, the young generation will play a pivotal role in creating positive change once they have, the wisdom and the necessary resources.